Hello everybody and welcome to this new video, finally. As you can see, I have another empty enclosure right here. Back in August, I decided to adopt another hamster from a rescue, a female Syrian hamster. I have a bunch of hamster room updates, but I'm probably gonna make another video for that. Anyway, the enclosure is the large eco world living habitat. I think that's the name, yeah. And I built a raised lid, and this is the setup that I had planned out with stuff that I already had and some stuff that I made myself and a lot of stuff by Night Angel because they were so nice to send me 3 huge packages with a lot of their products to try. So I've included a lot of them in here. Thank you again, Night Angel. I am so excited to be trying your products. And yeah, let's get this started. I once again have the Pfeiffer bedding here and another small bag of a different bedding. But before I can add the bedding to the enclosure, I need to take some stuff out of the enclosure just so it's easier to put the bedding in. As you can see, I have everything on stilts, like all the heavy things. That's really important so your hamster doesn't get squished when the hamster burrows. Like, the heavy stuff could fall on the hamster and the stilts just prevent that from happening. And I also decided to remove this hide just because it would be easier to add it later on. And yeah, this is what we're working with, and then I just cut up the bag of bedding as usual. I start by taking out a big chunk and putting it in the enclosure, but then I remembered that I also had the small bag of bedding. This is another type. It's also spruce shavings, it's just from a different brand. It's by Lundy. It's not my favorite bedding, but I wasn't sure if the big bag was gonna be enough, so I decided to add this as like the base layer. It's a bit dustier than the bedding I usually use, but it's still okay. So I put that in on the very bottom, and this is what it looked like after I added that bag. So of course I had to add a ton more bedding in there. And I do this the same time every time. Many people seem to think that this is a very tedious task, but I really enjoy it. The bedding is very soft. I break it up to make sure there's no big pieces, and then I just add like 10 centimeters before I compress it. And yes, it's part of the process to have half the bag of bedding on the floor. That's just how it works. You cannot do this without a mess, or at least I can't do it without a mess. So if you have any tips, very much appreciated. And then I broke it up. Here you can see a little sped up montage. Is it a montage? I don't think it is. A little sped up bit of me breaking up the bedding. I did also have a video of me compressing it, but I ended up getting a full shot of my head, so I didn't include that in the video. But yeah. And if you've watched my other setting up hamster enclosure videos, you know the process: bedding, compressing, and so on. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. And I want to just use this couple of seconds to explain that this enclosure is a lot smaller than my other enclosures, and this is not a permanent solution. Tilly, that's the name of the hamster, will be moving into one of the bigger enclosures when one of them becomes available. I do hope that that will take a long time because that would mean that one of the hamsters passed away. But yeah, this is not a permanent solution. Yeah, and this is what the enclosure looks like now. There's a lot of bedding in here. It was really important to me that I could make the setup as perfect as possible, even though it's not the size I usually use. Just because even though it's a temporary solution, I do still think that she deserves to have a perfect, or as perfect as possible, home. And yeah, here it was time to add that hide back in. I just dug a hole right to the bottom of the enclosure, and then I made sure that the stilts sit right on the bottom. Then I added the bedding back in, and this is what the enclosure looked like then. I added the lids to these 2 hides. They're both by Night Angel. They're both perfect. I love them so much. Then I added this hide right here. I built this platform specifically for this one. It's by Rodipet. It's one of the newer models, and I really like it. Like, the quality has improved a lot, considering that the last ones were a lot different. And I really like it, but I did end up removing it a little while later because Tilly never used it. But yeah, it's still great. Then I added the sand bath. I think, yeah, it's from Getsu, and I think it's one of them, the ones that they sent me. I'm not entirely sure, but it might be. I think it's the 30 centimeter one. Then I added this digging dish by Night Angel right here and added the bedding back there. Then here I have a platform for this candy jar. I love this candy jar. It's so pretty, it's so huge, it's amazing. And I didn't put it right up into the corner because I wanted her to be able to walk around it. And this is all the bedding I have left, and I will just use that to clean, like spot clean the enclosures. And yeah, the floor is covered in bedding as well, but yeah, part of the process. Yeah, this is what the enclosure looked like with all the bedding in. As you can see, I have like 45 centimeters of bedding on one side and a bit less where the wheel will be. Then I added the cork mats to the platform and the multi-chamber house. And to this Rodipet house, I decided to add this tube. It's also by Rodipet. They like belong together. You don't have to buy them together, but yeah, I really like this setup. But as I mentioned, I ended up removing it like a month after Tilly moved in just because she never used it, and with the enclosure not being that large, I just really want her to have stuff in the enclosure that she actually uses. Anyway, I added some safe bed paper bedding inside of the hide and the tube, and then I added some toilet paper pieces into the multi-chamber house just in case she'd want to use that as her nest. She doesn't. I don't think she's ever been in there, but yeah, she could use it. And then I have this stone slab. I don't think it's granite. I don't remember the name, but it's a stone slab. It's a bit coarse or like rough on the like texture, so it helps keep her nails trimmed. Then I add some snake aspen bedding right here. It's not my favorite texture, but yeah, I still like to add in an enclosure. And then I add the corn cob bedding inside the cookie jar. This has been a great hit. Tilly loves it. I just scatter and hide some food in there, and she spends so much time in there just looking for all the food. And then I put the wheel in here. It's one from Night Angel. It's the XL version. I love it, but I did have to swap it out for the smaller one just because this one ended up being a bit too large. Then I added the white Night Angel paper bedding right here, and let me tell you, it's so soft. Like literally so soft. I usually use KT Clean and Cozy for stuff like this, but I wanted to try this one because they sent it to me, and it's so much softer. I love it so much. Then I added this hide here. It doesn't need stilts, it's not that heavy, but it's still like supported by the digging dish. I added this little platform. It's just a cork slice that I think it's one of them that Gitsu sent me. Then these are some coarse beach chips. My hamsters usually really like these, and I didn't want to add too many like digging dishes to the enclosure, so I'm just putting them on top of the on top of the bedding. And this digging dish is for the cocoa peat, also by Night Angel. I usually use terrarium soil that's like a little bit moist. This one's completely dry. I didn't know if she'd like it, but she loves it. I also hide some food in there, so she spends a lot of time in there because, yeah, Tilly loves food. Yeah, but anyway, I added some hemp bedding right here. Also not one of my favorite textures, but I still like to use it. Then some birch bedding by Rodipet. I added that all around here. Some aspen chips in this hide. I already have the aspen bedding, but this one is a completely different texture. It's also surprisingly very different from the beach chips, which I didn't expect, but it's very different. Then I added some of the brown paper bedding by Night Angel into this hide. Once again, very soft, like identical to the white one, but it's brown, obviously. And then I added the sand into the sand bath and this tiny little platform for the hide that I ended up putting in the sand bath, but I did decide to remove it like a month after she moved in. Because it took a lot of space from the sand bath, like she couldn't dig around in it that well, and she peed in it and it was so annoying to clean, so I just removed the hide. Yeah, and she seems to prefer it this way. Then I added these two hides, and I added some soft cork granules by Night Angel into that hide. They're very soft. I really like the texture, and Tilly really likes it as well. And then I added this grapevine here. I wanted to find a way to put a grapevine and a bamboo root in here, so that's what I did. I made sure that she could walk over it and under it, so she has a lot of like different ways to walk. And I did lose some footage of one side of the enclosure, so yeah, you didn't see me set up that, but yeah, you can see it here. This is what the enclosure looked like with all the things in here. And now I just had to add some sprays and some forage. I have a lot of different sprays. I'm not even gonna attempt to name them all. But yeah, I did end up removing a couple of them after she moved in, because when the rescue said that she really loves to eat, she really did mean that she loves to eat, because she like moved into the enclosure and started eating all the sprays, and it was a bit too much. So I decided to remove some because I don't want her to like gain a lot of weight or become unhealthy or anything like that. But yeah, I still wanted to add quite a few sprays just to make the enclosure more fun. And Night Angel also sent me some of their Harvest Wind. They sent me all 3 different kinds, and I love them. I was so excited. I've been wanting them for so long, especially the flower ones, because they're so unique. I've never seen them anywhere else. And these those fluffy ones, they're amazing. I didn't use a lot in the enclosure because I want to save them for future enclosures, because yeah, I love them. Especially those yellow and purple flowers. They're my favorite. So yeah, definitely recommend them. And then I scattered some dried flowers here, and I added some forage to the bowl part of this hide. Tilly really likes it. I really like this hide as well. I think I got it from Getsu, maybe? Not entirely sure, but I think Getsu has it. Then I added some apple leaves back here and some forage here. Some more sprays, of course, because you can never have enough sprays. Some dandelion roots, and then I had some cookies and a small corn cob. Added her dishes, her food dish and like fresh food dish, and her water bowls, and that's it. The enclosure is finished. I am so happy with how it turned out. Tilly seems to love it as well, and I really hope that you like it as well. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time for Tilly's moving in video.